Okay, let's talk really quick about something very basic, very fundamental, but super important to everything you do with sword and shield, is how to hold the sword. So let's break it down really quick, and then we'll go into a couple of reasons why you do it. So really quick, you have your hand, right? Obviously this is what's going to be holding your sword. So what you want is you want the front of the handle to lay right underneath this second knuckle, right? There, and then the back of the handle to lay in the web of the hand here. So you want the alignment of the blade to roughly match the back of your hand. See the back of the hand going straight up and down? So take my sword, socket it into the web of the hand, not on the thumb knuckle there, but into the web between, and then wrap the other fingers around here, and seating the front of it right underneath this knuckle. So you can see it on the cross guard here. It runs directly onto the soft spot of that web of the hand between the thumb and the forefinger, and then this top one pretty much should be running straight across this front knuckle here. That's proper orientation for your sword blade. That way it keeps it pretty much in line with the back of the hand, and then the forearm, and then the upper arm. So the reason for this is your body is designed to issue force and resist force along a particular plane, and that is along the plane of the hand. Whether or not you're karate chopping somebody or punching somebody, you're biomechanically, your muscles in your skeleton are designed in a particular way to issue force along that particular plane. Even when you rotate your wrist, it's still designed to issue force and resist force. So it's important that you have your grip in a direction that is in alignment with your biomechanics, basically. So the reason why that's super important is obviously you want to be able to hit harder, right? So you want every ounce you can of energy generated from your whole body to run all the way through your hand, through the blade of the weapon. And at this particular angle, it does it the best. Don't grab your sword and try to cheat it, right? You want to hit a high snap, so you're gonna cheat your sword to the side in your hand. Or some people even start holding it sideways so that they can just twist like this. The amount of force issued across that angle of the hand is diminutive compared to actual four-blade strikes. So you're just gonna have to work on your wrist flexibility to be able to achieve the angles that you want. That'll be for the high snaps, and then the offside, like the break wrist, you gotta fold it over the other way. Don't just cheat your sword to the side a little bit to get a little bit of a head start. It's gonna hit lighter, and it's an additional amount of information or processing that you have to do every single strike. So don't be lazy, work on your flexibility. Also, avoid pre-canting your swords. If you're in SCA inside your basket, you twist it a little to the side so you can get the edge on. Work on the wrist flexibility. So if you hold it in alignment with your biomechanics, with the plane of the hand there, you'll hit harder, right? You'll also be able to resist blocks a lot better. You don't, some people talk about you block with the flat of the blade. Don't do that, really. If you hold your sword up here and you press against it, right, you can resist a lot of power there. Even if I kick my blade to the side with proper biomechanics and I push against it, I can still hold against that. If I straighten it and I press against the side, no matter what I do, it just folds. Same thing with a block. If you're throwing a block, you want to meet it perpendicular to the edge here. You don't want to meet it flat or flat this way. What's going to happen is if you do, this is just going to fold into you. The weapon's going to lose the block and you're going to get hit anyways, especially if you're trying to block large larger mass weapons, hard strikes, things like that. So that's the way you hold the hand, hold the sword in the hand, the basic part of it, into the web of the hand with the back of the handle. Wrap your front fingers around it so that these knuckles right here line up along the front of the edge, and that will allow you to deal and block the most force. Now, the next part of how to hold the sword, besides just the angle you got it on, is the flexibility in holding it. You don't want to death grip the sword. If you death grip the sword, you're going to exhaust your hand. Plus, when I'm death gripping this, it's actually very difficult to extend and flex the blade. You need a strong yet subtle flexibility to your sword hand. So the way to do that is whenever you wrap your hand around the handle, secure it mostly with the thumb and the top finger, or the thumb and the top two fingers right there. This forms not a super solid grip, but more like a link of chain around the weapon. You can see here, I can leave these other fingers floating free, and it allows for my sword to gain a lot more flexibility. I don't even have to hold it, and I can, change direction really easily. And the flexibility that's gained from that is great compared to trying to death grip your weapon. Death gripping it not only reduces your flexibility, it tires you out super fast. If you are death gripping your sword, if you're wondering why in a fight your arm's getting exhausted so fast, it's because you're death gripping your sword, right? So the goal is to use as few muscles as possible to retain the weapon even against hard strikes, and it doesn't take much when you just form the little ring up here that retains the weapon. Now, with these other two lazy fingers out here, these help guide your weapon. They move back and forth, front and back, side to side, and help steer your sword, kind of like a rudder. They also add to the impact, the percussive impact of snapshots and other strikes. As part of the final chain of motion, when your wrist comes forward on a strike, you also pull with these fingers. Oh, I just pulled just with the fingers. Oh. They add a great deal of velocity at the end of that whip strike. So keep your grip subtle, however you want to say it, but like a link of chain. And then that'll allow you to be able to keep your wrist flexible. If you're death gripping, your wrist is going to stiffen up, your forearm's going to stiffen up, and you're going to get almost no flexibility in your strikes. So that's how you essentially hold a sword, whether it's for SCA, whether it's for Buchert, whether it's LARP, whether it's lightsabers, whatever. Practice similar protocols. Socket it into the web of the hand, have the front of it run along the line of these knuckles here. Loosen the grip as much as you can. Secure it with the top, normally with a thumb over one or two top fingers, and then work on flexibility. You can take and work your flexibility on your wrist with a sword in hand, with a set of nunchucks, with just exercises, pressing up, pressing down, or with a dog chew toy, the rope ones with a knot on either end. You can take those and use those to work on your wrist flexibility. In any case, that's the basics of how you hold a sword, and it should help eliminate some questions that you have with new fighters. And we often overlook it because we've been fighting for years or decades in a lot of cases. But we got to start with the very, very fundamentals for people who don't know, So teach them how to hold a sword properly, teach them not to death grip, and teach them how to block properly with it and strike properly with it. I'll catch you next time.